probably know all these annoying cookie consent banners on the interwebs, where people try to trick you into giving consent when you don't want it. So that's one technical aspect, but there are other ways of giving or asking for consent. So in the human world, there's also consent. We already maybe know the discussion about sexual consent, but there are many other things. So today we have Dani here, who will give us a very interesting approach in connecting the technical way of consent and the human way to show us that it's not that difficult. So, and we will have a Q&A at the end, so hold your questions. If there is enough time, and if there's not, maybe you are available.
I'm around.
Okay, so give it up for Dani.
Thank you. Yeah, if you have more questions than I can answer, I'm around basically the entire weekend. Have you ever, oh, I need to go forwards, not backwards. Yes, there you are. Have you ever been in a situation that you're sitting next to your friend or your partner in the movie theater, or maybe your date, and you're like going, the awkward yawn and reach? Because people do that. People are wondering how you do that, because there is a WikiHow, how to do the yawn and reach, and it has been viewed 280,000 times. It's ridiculous, because people don't dare to ask, do you mind to cuddle? But how do you ask, do you want to cuddle? So we're going to do this a little bit about that today. So who am I? Well, my real name is Danielle, but yeah, diacritics are hard, yo, so everybody calls me Dani, including all the computers. I got my t-shirt printed on purpose. I am a polyamorous relationship anarchist, and that is a community where we talk a lot about consent. Hey, do we want to date? Hey, do you mind if I date this person as well? Is this a date? Is this a relationship? What are we going to do? And that's the reason I know a lot about consent and communicating consent. I am also the team lead of Cohesion. So the green lanyards people are trying to make everything go as smoothly as possible interpersonally. Some people call us Team WD-40 as well. And I did a little bit of the team content stuff to get them started. You might know me from the WICA, the Women in Cybersecurity Community Association. And we also organize a WICON, a conference where we only have women speakers on stage. Because there are no women speakers around? Yes, there are. And because I need to pay for all this, I am a governance, risk, and compliance consultant. At least that is what my employer says I am. I don't know. I click on links and emails for money, and I look at slide decks for my money. That's what I do. And they pay me well for that. So, in this talk, we're going to talk about why does consent matter? Why is it so important? I'm going to do a very brief introduction of the HTTP protocol, because I'm not sure who knows it well enough to get what I'm talking about, but we all have seen the 404 not found. That comes from the HTTP protocol. And based on that, I built a little consent protocol, just to think about how can you give consent and how can you also work with people responding to that. So, consent matters. Super important. Why does consent matter? Well, you want to know that everybody is in the same boat. You want to know, hey, are you okay with cuddling in the movie theater? Or are you okay with giving a hug? Or are you okay with kissing, or intimacy, or undressing, or just touching somebody? And I'm looking at a sign just across the tent with the bottles. Photos, always ask. That's asking for consent. You know? They might give you consent for a picture, but they maybe don't do that. It's also creating a basis of respect, respecting each other, respecting each other's boundaries. Hey, do you mind to hug? And people say, no. And then you still do this. That's not respecting their boundaries. And it helps you growing a deeper connection. Because if you have to talk about what you want to do, then you need to like communicate and think about what you want to do. You need to like actively vocalize it. So it helps you grow a deeper connection with your partner, with your friends, with your random person across you. You're having a conversation with that might seem, well, they might look like they need a hug. So, do you want a hug? So, one thing is super important. Everything that is not a clear yes equals a no. So, not yes is no. If you're unsure, ask or err on the side of caution. Consent should be given enthusiastically. People say, yeah, but asking for consent is not sexy. The most sexy thing somebody ever said to me, like, is my hand allowed to go on someplace on my body? And that is an enthusiastic yes. That's the most sexy thing people said. She literally asked for consent. Very explicitly, she said what she wanted, where she wanted, how, when, and she asked if I'm okay with that. No is a full sentence. If you say no, especially when you talk about intimacy, no is a full sentence. No, but yes, well, what, this, no. No is good enough. A little thing about responses to consent question or responses when people are assuming consent or are just doing things without asking. You are probably familiar with the fight or flight response. You're either going to fight or you're going to run away. But there are two more that are very important, especially in intimacy talks. If we talk about people who are freezing, who just like don't do anything anymore, or people who are fawning. And fawning is something that is often taken as consent, and fawning is thinking about how can I make this go away as quickly as possible with the least little resistance. Sometimes it's mistaken for consent. So something to think about. You can give consent in different ways. You can do it non-verbal, gestures, body language, or verbal, with words. Yeah? A non-verbal thing is asking for a hug, is like, or if somebody does, and I do, that is a non-verbal way of asking for consent for a hug, and if I do this, yeah, that's consent. And if somebody does this, and I do, then I don't give consent for a hug, I give consent for a fist bump, or a handshake, or a wave, or a please don't touch me. Non-verbal is good for the easy stuff. Non-verbal is good for the simpler things in life, or if you know somebody super well, or you've been dating for a longer time. Verbal consent is for people you don't know, or don't know that well, or if you're going to do something really, really intricate. Let me check my audience. Yes, everybody seems to be old enough. If you want to go to the Rope Labs village, they do some shibari bondage workshops. You can go there, but they will be talking about, hey, am I allowed to touch you here? Am I allowed to touch you there? They will be talking about consent a lot. But you want to talk about that, even if you are with a partner for a long, long, long time. So, when in doubt, stick to verbal, because non-verbal communication is kind of hard. So, a little primer on HTTP protocol, because I'm a bit of a hacker. I look at raw HTTP traffic all day for work as well. If you go to the wiki.white.org and you look at it to the proxy that I use for my work, I look at websites this way. On the left, right for me, left for you, you'll see the request starts with get/welcome. So the website wiki2025.org starts with /welcome. It gives you some information what my browser is expecting, and it's asking for consent. I want to have this. Then we go to the response. The server says 200. Okay. Here is the content, and you get some bits of headers, and basically from this line, from line 17 downward, you get all the actual information, the content of your website. But this is kind of small letters, so it will be easier to read in the next slides. The basic of HTTP is also a request and a response pair. Your browser sends a request, the server gets a response. And the browser request always starts with a verb. The most common are get, post, patch, and delete. These are the ones that matter. There are like 15 more. These are the ones that matter for now. The server responds with the numeric status code, 200 OK, 300 moved, 404 not found, or 506 error. Messages contain a header, so some technical information, and a body, some actual content. That's what you need to know about HTTP protocol for this. In the body of the website, of the information, you get the content, usually HTML if you have content, so text, pictures, etc. goes in there. And usually we use a lot of JSON for the technical content. It's human readable format, but it's structured in a key value pair, for example, arm around you. So arm, where does arm go? Around you. So that's what you need to know about the technical stuff. Now we're going to talk about the human stuff. Basic request and response for my little consent protocol I created. Get, hug, consent. Host, you, because I want you to ask. And my response is 200, OK. So get, hug, consent. And I answer with, that's consent. That is the basic request-response pair. You can also do a post request, because get is something simple, I want this. But you can also offer something. You can offer romance. Hey, I want to have some romance with you, and I want that to include some cuddling, maybe some kissing, and maybe some further intimacy. So this is the proposal you're going to do. I post this information to the server or to the recipient. I want to cuddle, I want to kiss, and I want to have maybe some sex. You can also adjust your request with a patch. And a patch changes one of the fields from the previous information. And activity 3 says none now here. So the requester has revoked the wish for intimacy. So, OK, I would like to cuddle, I would like to kiss, but I no longer feel OK for intimacy or sex. This is something you can do at any time, anyway. You can always revoke your consent at any time and when you want, when you don't feel OK anymore. You can also delete your request from, OK, I initially asked you for all this, but I don't feel like it anymore. I want to step away. I don't want to have this anymore. Then you can just delete. Normally, if you do this in HTTP, you're going to delete a web page or you're going to delete something, but you're deleting the romance in this case. Also, you can revoke consent at any time as a requester. Now we're going to come to the responses. And this is where my original idea for this talk came from. I want to talk about consent based on the HTTP protocol. Get, hug, consent, 200 OK. We've seen that one. But you can also see get, hug, consent 307, see other. And when you get see other, you get in the headers a different option. So get, hug, consent, hug, and you say handshake. 307, see other. Or you can say you can make this a fist bump. You can either offer a fist bump or a handshake or a wave. Also, you can say no, I don't want any of that. 404, consent not found. Super important. 404, consent not found is an excellent way to say no. Or you can say no, but we're nerds. So if someone says somewhere during the camp, do you want to hug? And you say 404. I would love to hear if you did that. Too many requests. If you're asking for consent one time, somebody doesn't respond. I want a hug. I want a hug. Give me a hug. Too many requests. You're probably stalking or bothering somebody. If this happens, turn around, go away, do something else. Because people are bothered by you, people just do not want to interact with you, or maybe anything else. They might even feel intimidated and stalked. Too many requests. Stop asking. And no response is no consent. So I want a hug. and I walk away, turn my back to you. Request timed out. You don't get any response. Also, it's a no. 418, I'm a teapot, which is actually in the protocol, something, something, coffee machines, long history, look it up, 418 if you're not familiar. However, if somebody asks for consent, or something more personal, more intimate, and you get a strange, weird response, a weird joke, something deflective, that person is not comfortable with saying no. That person might feel intimidated by you, because there might be a risk of work, you might be a powerful figure, you might be a big guy and you're asking a smaller woman. This person, if you get a 418 I'm a teapot, when you ask for a consent, somebody's feeling intimidated. Please step back, take a break, maybe, are you okay? But don't continue. Unless you know somebody super, super well and you know that it's going to be fun. Oh yeah, but we know it well enough to make silly jokes. But in general, if somebody deflects your request for consent with a silly joke, with a weird comment, with a weird thing to say that doesn't make any sense, we're often talking about a fawn reply. Huh? People are like trying to make it go away as quickly as possible. So think about that before continuing with your things. And probably you want to move away. Take a step back. So, however, you have 402, payment required. 403, oh, I found the bug in my own slides. I'm not sure which one is the correct one for payment required, but hey, if you're asking, I want to have a massage, might include a happy end, and the person says, well, that's going to be 69 euros, you found the sex worker, which is fine, but pay the person. Yeah? That is something that can happen. And if you're not expecting it, well, that might be a little bit awkward, but if you're like, going to expect it, if you're going to go to a club or you're going to go to a sex worker and you say, I want this, this, and this, and they say, payment required, so many euros. Payment required. You found a sex worker, fine, but do pay them. Internal server error. Yeah, somebody just doesn't understand what you want to do. You've proposed something, and the person is like not into this, or well, they don't want some intimacy, they don't want to be rubbed or petted, like I don't know. Server error. I don't know. Also, if you are on your way also already in a interaction with a person, and you're talking about, hey, cuddling, kissing, how about you take off your clothes? Consent gone. In this case, people are withdrawing their consent. We've already talked about you can withdraw your consent as a request if I don't want to go any further, or I don't want to do anything, the patch and delete. As the responder or the person being asked, the server in this case, you can also say, no more, consent gone. That's something to keep in mind. Or you can go for something that is not acceptable. I'm polyamorous, I can have many partners, currently I have none, but I can have many partners. Hey, do you want to be involved in a relationship with me? With you? And oh yeah, there's also my other partner that we call a meta-more. So meta and amor. So this is my partner, but not your partner. And somebody can say, well, it's very nice that you're poly, but I'm not. I just don't want to be involved with more than one. I want you as a partner, but I don't want any others. So polyamorous relationships are off the books. 406, not acceptable. This is how you can talk about that. And then we go into the complex negotiations, where you're going to start a little back and forth. Let me propose, hey, I can rub your shoulders, give you a massage, which you might take your t-shirt off, but you can keep your bra on, and I will use a massage oil. That is something you can propose. Oh, rub your shoulders, you've been so short, been running around all day. I can do this. And you say, well, that's fine. Consent to 100, okay. But my bra, I want to keep my bra in place. However, I don't mind if you slide down the straps. So you can actually reach my shoulders. I'm fine with that. Or you can say, oh, I don't mind taking off my bra. Do you mind if I take off my bra? Or are you comfortable with that if I just zip open and undress? Here you can start a back and forth. You can do a post request and say, well, you can slide my straps down, and you might, well, you can also don't mind if you take your bra off. Do you mind taking your bra off so I can do your back as well? You want a little bit of coverage? You go for a back and forth in, do you want this? Yes. Do you want this? No. You want yes, no. Until you come to a conclusion from, these are the things that you want to do. Or, hey, could you put some sunscreen on my back? Because people, please wear sunscreen. I've already been getting burned a little. So, hey, would you mind putting sunscreen on my shoulders and my back? But I will take off my t-shirt, but please don't touch my bra. Then you can ask, hey, do you mind if I lift up the strap and wrap a little bit under it so I don't miss a spot? So straps stay in place, but I'm really going to reach under your bra straps, in this case. These are things also go a little bit back and forth. And I can say, on the straps, can you also lift up the straps and rub here? Or you can say, and the person asking or proposing it from, yeah, I'm fine with that, or no, I'd rather not. Back and forth, asking for consent, it's a two-way system. This talk is shorter than I thought it would be. The next generation. One thing I want to talk about is, we are all adults here. Yeah, I think so, or at least adult enough. How to talk about consent. However, one thing that I would like and would love if it would happen, if we start teaching our kids about respecting boundaries. I think that would solve so many issues about transgressive behaviors if people start to learn about respecting boundaries and having their boundaries respected at a young age. So the next generation of hackers, people, everyone, creatures, teach consent to your kids. Give your children reasonable agency over their body. I'm not a parent, I don't have kids, and I know if you have little kids, sometimes if they have been rolling around in the mud here on the field, you do want to wash them, even if they don't want to. You can say, well, hey, you need to shower. Yeah, but I don't want to. Yeah, you can say, okay, I respect your bodily autonomy. But your kid's still soaked in dirt and grime and mud. So you might want to think, well, I'm gonna have to overrule that boundary a little bit as parents. For the parents in the room, please think about that. You're probably way better at that than I am. But think about respecting the boundary of kids and lead by example and respect the boundaries. So, yeah, if your kid's been running around in the mud and doesn't want to get into the shower, you might want to overrule it a bit. But something simple, what you can do is giving Granny a kiss. A lot of little kids are told to by their parents or by their grandparents, go give Granny or Granddad, the grandparent or uncle or aunt, give them a kiss or give them a hug. And sometimes little ones don't want to. I don't want to. They can do, yeah, I want to give Granny a kiss, or I want to give my uncle a hug because I like my uncle. Have some fun. Or they can say, well, I don't want to. And respect that. Teach them by example. Teach them that, hey, you can say, I don't want this, I can set this boundary. And from that onwards, also, I hope that this will get into their system. Hey, there are boundaries. If I set a boundary, it's respected. If somebody else sets a boundary, I will respect that too. And I hope if we're going to do that, kids will get much easier growing up into young adults or adults, like being conscious of consent and being conscious of boundaries. So, I have all the time in the world for questions or discussion. No? If there is a questions, there's a microphone over there, so the people online can hear it as well.
I'm also asking for questions from the internet, but I think there aren't any. No.
Hello? Oh,
Yeah?
So, this is not about anything sexual, but I had a situation with a teammate yesterday. Well, basically, I could tell that she was fawning. I didn't know the word. But, like, she was trying to make me happy, but I could tell she was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, it can be very tricky to.
Yeah, oh, I see that there's an AV technician pointing at the microphone. I think the one's not working.
Yeah. Okay.
Still not working?
Hello?
Yes.
That one's working.
We have sound.
So a few days ago, I had a situation. This is not anything sexual, but I had like a situation with a teammate. Well, I could tell that she was fawning. I didn't know the word, but she was like trying to make me happy, but as a way of like getting away from me. Yeah, and when I figured it out, I basically decided to just, ask her about it, like confront her, like, hey, so why are you doing this? Like, what's going on? And I found that just talking about it really helped.
Yeah, talking about helps. So if people fawn, and if you notice that people are fawning, because noticing that somebody's fawning is hard.
Yes.
Because because it looks like approving or going with it. But you can, first off, is take a step back, give people some space, make sure that you break off the initial approach you did, so they get some breathing room. That's the first thing to do, and then it's really hard, but you can think, okay, do you want to talk about it? Is there something I did wrong? Because I see you're you're making a weird joke. You're saying it, your teapot. You're gonna discuss that with the person if they feel like it. That is something really hard to do. There's not a right or wrong to think. So you can say well, I'm gonna turn away my back and walk away, which might be the right response, or do you want to talk about it? Might be the right response. And this is a hard distinction to make. And I would always look at this instance by instance that is going to happen.
Yeah, well, it definitely wasn't an easy conversation. But
those consent conversations, if there's a no involved, usually is not easy. Because you're asking, I want to do this to you, and someone says no. But I was planning to do romance, or I was planning to do some cuddling. I was planning to do the yawn and reach.
Well, in my case, I was looking for a USB charger, so
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting one.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's also, can I use your USB charger? This is something that happens here all the because we're all having laptops and like batteries are draining, especially yesterday. Like my laptop. Can I borrow your power bank? Or do you just yoink somebody's power bank? Or oh, there's a power bank here, I'm gonna start my phone with that. These are things you want to think about. Also, when you're here on the field and you want to take pictures of anything, usually objects are fine, unless you're gonna go right behind, and I think they're selling custom vodka with nice labels. And they ask for, like, if you want to take a picture, always ask. But if you're going to take pictures of people that are easily recognizable, don't until you have consent from the people in shot. Because that is something, though there are plenty of people in our community who do not like to be photographed, and especially not being put on the internet. So think about taking pictures of people, and recently been to the UK, to London, and people take just pictures of everyone, not a care in the world who's on there. And it's a little bit less here if we go to the Netherlands, but if we go to Germany, you see people, I don't see people taking pictures of strangers that much. Tourists do it, especially like in Berlin or something, but things are really different. More questions?
So you're talking a lot about situations in which people might find it hard to deny consent, but I wonder if the opposite might also occur. So situations in which people do actually want to give consent, but find it hard to voice that consent. For example, I can think of, for example, women in certain cultures might not be socially accepted to explicitly give that consent. Do you think such situations exist, and how would you deal with that?
If I'm correcting right, let's say I'm asking this woman for, hey, consent for something, and she's hesitant, she wants to give it, but she's hesitant to do it because of social norms.
So she does want to give, so she does feel like giving consent, but social norms forbid her from giving that consent explicitly.
That's, that's something we can solve with this conversation. This is going to be a way deeper or either a lower or higher level, depending on how you look at it, about how do we think about sexually active women. The double standard of like the body count, which is a stupid thing, what's your body count? Well, depending if you ask me as a hitman or if you ask me as a partner. Both are not that high anyway, but yeah. So some might not be zero. One of them might not be zero, one of them might be. But yeah, that's something that the double standard is really something in is culture-wise that we should get rid of. If somebody wants to give consent but feels no, because I would like to have intimacy with this person, but then people are going to look strange at me because you went off to your tent with that person last night, right? And then judge you on that. The one thing we can do about that is don't judge people on those kind of things. If people want to have consent, do it. If people want to do strange stuff with ropes at rope labs, go for it, have fun. As long as everybody is consenting, do whatever you want. As long as everybody involved is consenting. And you can talk about who can give consent and who cannot for certain things. And we should not judge somebody on their body count or preferences. We are here on a camp with a whole bunch of diverse people. I have seen plenty of cat ears. You probably have seen me running around with cat ears until yesterday, which is fine. People have given me head pats, which I'm fine with. Usually, if I ask for consent from them, that happened yesterday on the field. Sure, but ask for consent and always be open for people who might have a different way of doing stuff, and don't judge. Be excellent to each other. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. Think about being excellent to each other includes, do you like to something, something, something? Do you like to have a drink? Do you like to have some food together? Do you mind if I sit next to you with dinner, which happens in heaven all the time? Do you mind if I, yeah, sure, join in? Or, no, we're just talking, please leave us alone. Do you like to? Should be something that you're going to say a lot around here. Do you like to have your picture taken? Or do you want to have your picture taken? Or do you mind? Do you like to? Thank you.